The pores of the skin do not like smoke, just as much as your lungs don't like it either. So they naturally constrict, even though we force it down there. You're gonna take it, but they naturally want to constrict. Which has been shown to constrict blood vessels in the skin, reflecting its effects on the lungs. When the lungs pathways close, so do the skin vessels. When the lungs breathe, so does the skin. Pores close as the body fights to keep any more smoke from coming into the body. So if the liver and kidneys are low functioning, this only makes it worse. Regular exercise and water intake help a ton. So if you're gonna be a smoker, please exercise. Do things to keep those pores open, because naturally, as a smoker, they're gonna want to close up.
Question.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously not to idealize any of our ancestors,
Right.
but because they did have to be a little bit in tune with themselves and their bodies, and kind of going with your question, I think most things there's not black and white or all or nothing.
Right. Once again,
there's a reason for it. So
we're talking about addicts here.
So many ancestors smoke things.
Right.
But
this is different than these chemicalized cigarettes that we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about
with the filters.
Yeah, all that stuff, that can be very damaging. But smoke in general, lungs don't like, even from an herb. You know what I mean? But what I mean though is you can overdo anything. You know what I mean? Right. So a little bit of smoke, every once in a while or ritualistically, is not gonna hurt your lungs. But every day sending that fire and that heat to something that's supposed to be moist is gonna dry it out. Mm-hmm. So just really briefly, I wanted to give you another little quick blurb on alternatives. It says, alternatives alter the state of the blood in a way that heightens the cell's ability to properly process and release wastes. Okay, so you're also increasing cellular IQ, really, to break things down and be their own livers, in a way. Another way is to say that the alternative herbs are blood purifiers. One of the main ways to clean the blood is to open channels of elimination to release wastes that are trapped and accumulated within the organism. Wastes include harmful chemicals, pesticides, and other harmful environmental toxins, and the normal metabolic waste products we produce. Normal waste products include pieces of dead cells and hormones. So what we're going to see outside, and we're probably going to try a little bit, is yellow dock. We're just going to briefly talk about these plants just really quick, just give you a quick overview before we go outside and do that segment. But since yellow dock popped up first, I'm going to give you some quick notes on yellow dock. Yellow dock Rumex crispus has a massive root. Has anybody in here dug yellow dock? No. Wow, that's an experience. And it's everywhere, so I recommend it. Fall is coming. So go and get some. The roots can go down super big, and they'll kind of wind around each other sometimes. The roots, all kinds of little bugs and things are there, kind of just thriving from this mama root.
So you just say it's like a host for those.
It's like a home, like a hotel for so many there's layers. I have to talk to them oh, I'm sorry, there's a lot of others. The temperature's cool. It has it's like a drying herb, kind of getting rid of the waste and the excess fluids. It kind of tones a little bit. It's a cholagogue, so it's going to inspire that bile that you already have in you to release and secrete and say, we're not going to have all this mess in here. Let's clean this out. All right. It's an alterative as well. So it's like a cholagogue alterative. If you've ever tasted the leaf, has everybody in here tasted it before? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's nice and sour and lemony. It's a good little food growing around.
Was it related to sorrel?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
And you can
have
make
tons
wraps.
of that.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can. Tender is less bitter, but the bitter also is.
Absolutely.
Is
Yeah, it's
good
going to
for the
stimulate
liver.
that. Absolutely.
But a friend of mine, she made sushi wraps with it.
Ooh,
That's
a really good idea.
Or put in the oven like you would with kale and make chips out of it.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of things you can do with
What
this.
about the seeds? Do you make something with
The crackers.
Crackers. I've got seeds outside.
Absolutely. But this is going to be one you're going to want to go to. This is a big go-to for skin disorders, slow skin disorders that aren't leaving. It's just this slow eczema, slow psoriasis. It's good for inflamed disorders where like there's a lot of redness in the surface. Good for acne with burdock, works really well together. It's a laxative. And so when you harvest it, you're not generally going to tincture this plant fresh because in some people that are really sensitive, it can create diarrhea. So you want to dry it first because the constituents are less irritating at that point. It's good for, once again, liver and gallbladder congestion. It's a blood cleanser and very good for really squishy stools from poor fat absorption. Like some people, they'll use the bathroom and you'll see in their stool there's like oils floating at the top of the toilet. Like it looks like oils are in there. That's because the fats aren't being absorbed. Okay, so this plant is one of the key ones to help fat absorption in the body. Another key indicator, and sometimes this plant is talked about. Some people say it's all full of iron. It's not. It doesn't have any iron in it. But what it does is it helps you to absorb iron that's already in you. It increases iron absorption from everything you eat. Whatever you eat, it's just, oh, iron, pull it out. And it also helps you to kick out iron from the small intestine in the form of ferritin, because iron's converted to ferritin and stored in the small intestine. And it helps you kick that off. You know, it's almost like, you know, there's like these buttons in nature where you can say, oh, do this and do that. That's kind of what, you know, like a language we lost. It's like, oh, for this, we need this. For this, we need this. And, you know, yellow dock's here to support in that way. So iron, this is a key iron plant. And only contraindication I have here is do not take this with laxatives. Like, I really want to clean out. You gotta respect laxatives because I remember Cascara Sagrada. I found some Cascara Sagrada pills and I was like, detox? I need a detox? You know what I mean? And I took 3 of them and I was like, nothing's happening. So I went to sleep and got up, was like, I'll take 6. You know what I mean? And it changed my life. I am not the same person. You know, just the way it irritates the gut. You know, I just didn't.
I mean, quite literally, when not much of you's gone.
Yeah.
You gotta rebuild.
Absolutely. So I'm just gonna cover 3 more really briefly before we go outside. We got this one, milk thistle, which is a super prized liver herb. This is a choleric. This is the herb that you say, oh, liver, I'm gonna give you little kisses. You know, yeah. I'm gonna give you a little kiss today. And liver's like, thanks.
What is this?
Milk thistle.
So sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Silybum marianum. Although for acute issues, for serious liver problems, I've never run into an herbalist that said just use a tincture of this. They usually want you to use the tincture also with the standardized extract called silymarin. And so that's when they go in there and they pull out all the active constituent and basically put it in a pill form so you can take that. But I would recommend taking it with the milk thistle because you're getting also those supportive aspects that were removed from the whole medicine. You know, once again, it's anti-inflammatory. It's a true hepatic. It goes straight to the liver. It's also a galactagogue. So people that are dried out here and trying to breastfeed, you know, I used to love that word galactagogue. I thought it was going to mean like, you take this and you have the power of the galaxy, galactagogue. You know, but you know, it's similar because the breast milk kind of does give you the power of the galaxy.
That's true.
Yeah.
True.
You know.
Yeah.
This is also one of the best herbs for recovering alcoholics that have done so much damage to the liver over the years. They want to restore the liver. They want to make sure the liver's building nicely and happy again. This is a way to kind of apologize for all those years. Once again, this is a great one for people that work with like paints and harmful chemicals they're breathing in nonstop. Once again, it also helps secrete a little bile. And yeah, that's all I want to say on this guy for now. The next one we have is burdock. I think we have some samples of that outside. Burdock is fun. You see all these? This is where Velcro comes from. It's from the flower. This is, I mean, they don't make it from that, but it's where they got the model for Velcro. And teaching this to kids is the funnest one ever. Because of course you have to create a window where we can throw them at each other for about 15 to 20 minutes. But it's a wonderful little game you can play as they stick to your shirt and all that. Some people, you don't want to get it too much in the hair. It's not coming out. It kind of clings to you. But it's an Asteraceae plant. And each of these little petals are flowers really, and and milk thistle is too. The part used of this guy is a root. It's another big rooty plant. You can buy it at Whole Foods now.
Yeah, you can actually. I got it from Natural Grocers.
Natural Grocers has
There's
it.
some
Yeah.
really good ones
They
right
do.
now. Yeah,
we didn't have it for the longest time, and I asked my
Yeah,
produce
she works
manager
there.
if we could bring it in, and he's like, oh yeah, do people use that? And I was like, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
bring that in. They're
Yeah.
beautiful. and
Yeah.
long.
Oh, so you're actually fresh.
Yeah, and produce.
good.
Yeah.
That's
and then
awesome.
They have the dried and the bulk section that's
Oh,
already
right.
prepackaged, but that's good to know. I've been looking
Yeah,
for that.
yeah, it's not
Okay.
always there.
Okay.
But
which store?
I work at the one in Arvada. So I
Okay.
don't know if all the produce managers are bringing it in when they can, but you can always ask them to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean the dry herbs there, they're
Yeah.
all organic.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and they seem like they're good quality. too.
Yeah.
This is a great alternative, especially for dry people. Because alternatives, once again, specialize in the removal of waste. But what if that person's already like thin and like, dry already? This burdock root is considered oily in contrast. So it keeps you moist while it pushes out toxins.
Would you recommend that for a coppa though? A coppa.
I would. I mean, honestly, anyone. But Kappa has way more options. You know what I mean? Because herbs in general tend to be drying.
Yeah.
So this wouldn't be my first go-to for a Kappa person or someone that just would hold on to oil or had too much oil. But some Pitta people have too much oil as well. But I'd pay attention to their constitution and look at them. If they were already super oily, I mean, they probably wouldn't need burdock so much. Or it would be a small part of a formula.
Oh, okay.
And so it's pretty neutral as far as temperature. It can be slightly cooling. Some people say slightly warm depending on the author. But one thing we do know for sure is an alterative, one of the most celebrated alterative diuretics. This one will help you go pee. It has it's like a urinary alterative or what would be another word for that? But basically a kidney alterative. So basically with those, everything's like get on those kidneys, push it out through the kidneys. That's what this will do. And also similar with nettles too. That plant is super, and I used to take it all the time because Susan Weed was always like, oh, you need a whole quart of it. You know what I mean? Like drink a pound of it and it'll get you the nutrients you need. And I would do these massive amounts of nettles and then I'd be peeing nonstop. I'm like, wow.
You are drinking it outside.
Yeah.
But, it's a small cup.
It's small. Yeah, it's different. It's different when you're taking these excessive amounts. Like
Yeah.
I was trying
That is
because
helpful to know. I've been drinking about 32 ounces of a tea that has nettles as one of the primary.
have you been going a lot?
Well, yeah, but I also have been increasing all of my water.
Absolutely.
Because of hot
Yeah,
yoga.
and once again, if you're drinking your water and stuff like that, but no one gave me the disclaimer. And so
Access to a restaurant.
So this would be a good one for like dry skin, so like dry, flaky, psoriasis type things popping up. And once again, it's cooling, so it's going to be good to cool the blood. Okay, psoriasis, for example, is a hot skin condition. It's hot, meaning that the proliferations on the skin are happening too fast. It's basically an excess of skin, because skin usually takes about 28 days to come to its full maturity. For someone with psoriasis, it's 4 days. Okay, so they're just like, make skin, make skin, make skin, make skin. Mm-hmm. This helps cool the person out, calm the blood down, calm the dermis down. And really, this is like a huge one for psoriasis. Increases appetite, increases bile secretion, speeds up wound healing. And it lowers blood pressure. Another folk remedy is for jealous fevers. I've never met anyone that was so jealous that they got a fever, but I've read that if you're that jealous or you get a fever, this is the plant to try. This is one of the most safest plants too in the Materia Medica. Like kids can have it, anybody can have this plant. It's not contraindicated anywhere. And my last plant here is Oregon grape. I love to eat these little berries. Has anybody seen this around? Yeah, it's all over. Yeah.
It's in your design.
It's edible.
I put it in your yard.
It is
design.
edible.
Oh, thanks.
And this is a really cooling plant. It's considered cooling because of its bitter quality. Bitter is usually associated with cooling. Super bitter. This is a super bitter plant. It's like yellow dock in that they both have berberine, which is when you break the root or look in the root, you'll see it's a yellow color. It immediately touches the tongue and starts stimulating that bile right away. Things start getting juiced up and pushed out. Okay. This is the one that is said to it's best to use instead of golden seal, since golden seal is in trouble. That this plant has the most similar qualities on the gut.
When you say golden seal is in trouble, is it just being over harvested?
Over harvested, yeah. It's not ethically. It can't be ethically used right now, yeah. Because it became this mainstream thing. Everyone's like, "Oh, get your golden seal, get your golden." And once it gets mainstream, corporations are like, you know, which is interesting because like I used to hear about like how secret like societies used to not talk about their herbs. You know what I mean? They keep it secret. Then when you see what's happening with golden seal, for example, and plants like that, even OSHA, which got some, you know, you're like, oh, that's why it was so secretive. They knew the nature of this modern world and that things would be over harvested.
It's sad because you want to share it though at the same
right.
time.
But
like,
you want
share it with people.
and mainly this isn't individuals. We're talking about big companies, you know.
Of course.
Absolutely.
And ethical harvesting, you know, making sure it's reproducing itself and
Absolutely.
Even just being more local, like the idea that these corporations want to ship it all over the world in itself is a problem.
Yeah.
Like
there's
figure
so
out
many local plants here.
Yeah.
We're so lucky. Yeah.
So once again, this one offers a lot of hormonal support through supporting the liver. Skin disorders is another big one. For any kind of poor healing skin, this is another one where you're like, man, my skin's not healing. Every time I bump something, I scar up or I bruise so fast. This is a good one to really help get the liver going. It's a stomachic. It has an affinity for the stomach and getting the juices going there. Antibacterial, you know, so this is something that's going to clear out some bacteria for you if you put it in the system.
Maybe food poisoning?
Food poisoning. Yeah, I would do it for any of that stuff to get things out and killed. Killed and out. This one's not to be used with like antibiotics. That's the contraindication because they're just you're overkilling everything. And it's not to be used for pregnancy. And that's Dany from Game of Thrones.
Both of their skins look great.
Yeah, they look good. That's her kicking it with her liver. You know what I mean? The liver's happy. She's kissing it with the milk thistle. And, you know, so yeah, thank you guys for checking out my presentation. Absolutely.
Do you have kind of a similar mapping for like beyond your face? What different areas of your skin
and where they kind of pop up? You know, that'd be interesting to look into because that does exist.
Yeah, because I have a reoccurring rash. It kind of travels, but like it affects my fingers. It used to be like in my shoulder, in my inside of my elbow, but then it went away.
Inside.
Yeah, and I think some of that can be like, some of that can be allergies manifesting in different parts of the body. But really it'd be interesting to dig deeper into that, you know, and see if there's like whole charts that kind of like just show like, oh, if it's here, it might be just like in the face, because everything mirrors, you know, the external. So. Well,
and there's some, like you were talking about in here, I knew someone who had rashes like that, and they said it was a yeast infection.
That's interesting.
Those things help to eliminate
growth.
Yeah, that makes sense.
From that.
Well, we still have so many things to taste and try.
Yeah,
a reflection of what you have here, and then some. So let's go ahead outside. If you need to use the restroom, it's right here. I'm going to grab a few things, get some more.